Now that we've spent some time looking at Luma, or brightness and contrast adjustments, using our waveform monitor, let's shift gears and talk about color. When we talk about color, we use a different tool. So if we go to our pop-up here and switch to our vector scope, this is going to give us a little better idea about color. And let me go ahead and maximize this. This can be quite complicated for some folks, but it's really basically simple. What we have here is a color wheel, and each one of these boxes here represent a different color: red, magenta, blue, cyan, green, and yellow. And when you're in the middle, the center here, you have no color. As you move away from the center towards a particular color, you have more of that color. So in this example here, we can see we have color approaching red. So presumably the video that we're looking at will probably have quite a bit of red in it. And if we go back and look, we can see this hand here is quite red, and that's the color approaching the red. We can take a look at a different video here. This is pretty much the same. Let's go to this one. Again, if we look, and we'll go ahead and zoom in with the tilde key here, we can see that we've got quite a bit of spike towards yellow. And of course, if we look here, we can see the yellow. And one more example for you, and we'll go ahead and zoom in and take a look. And what would you think this one is? You can see the spiking down here in this corner towards blue and cyan. And if we go back and look at our image, sure enough, there's an awful lot of blue going on in this video. So this is how we look and read this scope. There's one other point that I should mention, and that's this particular line here. This line is what we call the Caucasian line, the skin line, some people call it. And basically, this is where skin tone should fall. So depending on the video that we're looking at, something like this, you notice there's a spike going along this line. Now, the interesting thing is that the color of people's skin, while appear differently to our eyes, are very basically the same. And that's because the pigmentation, the color of the skin, is based on the blood cells that are beneath the skin. And they all fall, the color falls in this line. So regardless if you're looking at a white person, African American, Asian, they're all going to fall generally on this line. So it's a good reference tool for setting up the color of skin, because it's the one thing that people quickly identify with and can tell if there's a mistake. All right, so again, this is our color wheel, also called vector scope here. And you'll notice here that sure enough, in the image that we were looking at, there's a whole lot of skin, which would be this line going right up this line over here. And it can even tell us that there's something leaning towards yellow, and that's probably this lamp over here. Okay, so now that we can read the scope, let's examine how we can use what we know about that scope in such a way that we can correct it. But before we go there, I want to show you one more scope. Let's look at something called the RGB Parade. The RGB Parade looks very similar to the to the waveform monitor that we looked at previously. And in a way, what it is three waveform monitors. But this time we're measuring the intensity of the blue, the green, and the red separately across the image. So as we look at different images, we can see, oh, there's a lot more blue here, especially in the mid-tones and the higher tones. It's much more red is down in the shadows. This is how we would interpret this. Here we can see that in the highlights, there's far more red and green and not nearly as much blue. So this is going to help us with balancing our video. We want to make sure that our colors are right, and when our colors are right, we should see generally a similar spread between these. And we're going to use that information to make some changes here in just a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and go back to our friend the vector scope, and in the next video we're going to take a look at how we can take what we've seen on the scope, interpret it, and then correct it.